This is Charlene Burke welcoming you to Morning Mindset, where we are reading Think and Grow Rich, and I'm going to be doing pages 29 through 34 today. Read along with your own copy, or I have a link to a PDF in the chat area, and you can read along there. For those who are watching the replay, you can sit back and listen as I read, or go grab a copy for yourself. So let's get started. Midway down on page 29, it begins. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, because. When Henley wrote the prophetic lines, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. He should have informed us that we are the masters of our fate, the captains of our souls, because we have the power to control our thoughts. He should have told us that the ether in which this little earth floats, in which we move and have our being, is a form of energy moving at an inconceivably high rate of vibration, and that the ether is filled with a form of universal power which adapts itself to the natural thought, which adapts itself to the nature of the thoughts we hold in our minds and influences us in natural ways to transmute our thoughts into their physical equivalent. If the poet had told us of this great truth, we would know why it is we are the masters of our fate, the captains of our souls. He should have told us with great emphasis that this power makes no attempt to discriminate between destructive thoughts and constructive thoughts, that it will urge us to translate into physical reality thoughts of poverty just as quickly as it will influence us to act upon thoughts of riches. He should have told us, too, that our brains become magnetized with the dominating thoughts which we hold in our minds, and by means with which no man is familiar, these magnets attract to us the forces, the people, the circumstances of life, which harmonize with the nature of our dominating thoughts. He should have told us that before we can accumulate riches in great abundance, we must magnetize our minds with intense desire for riches, that we must become money conscious until the desire for money drives us to create definite plans for acquiring it. But being a poet and not a philosopher, Henley contented himself by stating a great truth in poetic form, leaving those who followed him to interpret the philosophical meaning of his lines. Little by little, the truth has unfolded itself until it now appears certain that the principles described in this book hold the secret of mastery over our economic fate. We are now ready to examine the first of these principles. Maintain a spirit of open-mindedness and remember as you read, they are the invention of no one man. The principles were gathered from the life experiences of more than 500 men who actually accumulated riches in huge amounts. Men who began in poverty with but little education, without influence. The principles worked for these men. You can put them to work for your own enduring benefit. You will find it easy, not hard, to do. Before you read the next chapter, I want you to know that it conveys factual information which might easily change your entire financial destiny, as it has so definitely brought changes of stupendous proportions to two people described. I want you to know also that the relationship between these two men and myself is such that I could have taken no liberties with the facts, even if I had wished to do so. One of them has been my closest personal friend for almost 25 years. The other is my own son. The unusual success of these two men, success which they generously accredit to the principle described in the next chapter, more than justifies this personal reference as a means of emphasizing the far-flung power of this principle. Almost 15 years ago, I delivered the commencement address at Salem College, Salem, West Virginia. I emphasized the principle described in the next chapter with so much intensity that one of the members of the graduating class definitely appropriated it and made it a part of his own philosophy. The young man is now a member of Congress and an important factor in the present administration. Just before this book went to the publisher, he wrote me a letter in which he so clearly stated his opinion of the principle outlined in the next chapter that I have chosen to publish his letter as an introduction to that chapter. Gives you an idea of the rewards to come. My dear Napoleon, My service as a member of Congress having given me an insight into the problems of men and women, I am writing to offer a suggestion which may become helpful to thousands of worthy people. With apologies, I must state that the suggestion, if acted upon, will mean several years of labor and responsibility for you. But I am heartened to make the suggestion because I know your great love for rendering useful service. In 1922, you delivered the commencement address at Salem College when I was a member of the graduating class. In that address, you planted in my mind an idea which has been responsible for the opportunity I now have to serve the people of my state, and will be responsible in a very large measure for whatever success I may have in the future. The suggestion I have in mind is that you put into a book the sum and substance of the address you delivered at Salem College, and in that way give the people of America an opportunity to profit by your many years of experience and association with the men who, by their greatness, have made America the richest nation on earth. I recall as though it were yesterday the marvelous description you gave of the method by which Henry Ford, with but little schooling, without a dollar, with no influential friends, rose to great heights. I made up my mind then, even before you had finished your speech, that I would make a place for myself, no matter how many difficulties I had to surmount. Thousands of young people will finish their schooling this year, and within the next few years, every one of them will be seeking just such a message of practical encouragement as the one I received from you. They will want to know where to turn, what to do to get started in life. You can tell them because you have helped to solve the problems of so many, many people. If there is any possible way that you can afford to render so great a service, may I offer the suggestion that you include with every book one of your personal analysis charts, in order that the purchaser of the book may have the benefit of a complete self-inventory, indicating, as you indicated to me years ago, exactly what is standing in the way of success. Such a service as this, providing the readers of your book with a complete, unbiased picture of their faults and their virtues, would mean to them the difference between success and failure. The service would be priceless. Millions of people are now facing the problem of staging a comeback because of the Depression. And I speak from personal experience when I say, I know these earnest people would welcome the opportunity to tell you their problems and to receive your suggestions for the solution. You know the problems of those who face the necessity of beginning all over again. There are thousands of people in America today who would like to know how they can convert ideas into money. People who must start at scratch without finances and recoup their losses. If anyone can help them, you can. If you publish the book, I would like to own the first copy that comes from the press, personally autographed by you. With best wishes, believe me, cordially yours, Jennings Randolph. Chapter 2, Desire, the starting point of all achievement, the first step toward riches. When Edwin C. Barnes climbed down from the freight train in Orange, New Jersey more than 30 years ago, he may have resembled a tramp, but his thoughts were those of a king. As he made his way from the railroad tracks to Thomas A. Edison's office, his mind was at work. He saw himself standing in Edison's presence. He heard himself asking Mr. Edison for an opportunity to carry out the one consuming obsession of his life, a burning desire to become the business associate of the great inventor. Barnes's desire was not a hope. It was not a wish. It was a keen, pulsating desire which transcended everything else. It was definite. The desire was not new when he approached Edison. It had been Barnes's dominating desire for a long time. In the beginning, when the desire first appeared in his mind, it may have been, probably was, only a wish, but it was no mere wish when he appeared before Edison with it. A few years later, Edwin C. Barnes again stood before Edison in the same office where he first met the inventor. This time his desire had been translated into reality. He was in business with Edison. The dominating dream of his life had become a reality. Today, people who know Barnes envy him because of the break life yielded him. They see in him the days of his triumph without taking the trouble to investigate the cause of his success. Barnes succeeded because he chose a definite goal, placed all his energy, all his willpower, all his effort, everything back of that goal. He did not become the partner of Edison the day he arrived. He was content to start in the most menial work, as long as it provided an opportunity to take even one step toward his cherished goal. 5 years passed before the chance he had been seeking made its appearance. During all those years, and not one ray of hope, not one promise of attainment of his desire had been held out to him. To everyone except himself, he appeared only another cog in the Edison business wheel. But in his own mind, he was the partner of Edison every minute of the time, from the very day that he first went to work there. It is a remarkable illustration of the power of a definite desire. Barnes won his goal because he wanted to be a business associate of Mr. Edison more than he wanted anything else. He created a plan by which to attain that purpose, but he burned all bridges behind him. He stood by his desire until it became the dominating obsession of his life, and finally, a fact. When he went to Orange, he did not say to himself, "I will try to induce Edison to give me a job of some sort." He said, "I will see Edison and put him on notice that I have come to go into business with him." He did not say, "I will work for a few months, and if I get no encouragement, I will quit and get a job somewhere else." He did say, "I will start anywhere. I will do anything Edison tells me to do, but before I am through, I will be his associate." He did not say, "I will keep my eyes open for another opportunity in case I fail to get what I want in the Edison organization." He said, "There is but one thing in this world that I am determined to have, and that is a business association with Thomas A. Edison. I will burn all bridges behind me and stake my entire future on my ability to get what I want." He left himself no possible way of retreat. He had to win or perish. I'm going to stop there because I think it's darn powerful. Well, looky there. See, I lean over. See, my head feels the, sorry, my camera is doing funky things, people. All right. I think that was darn powerful. I would love to know what everybody else thinks. Somebody wants to jump in that open seat. Let's discuss what was just read about Barnes, about Edison, about Napoleon Hill being encouraged to share with the world about how appropriate what I just read is to today's circumstances. We're only on the cusp of coming out of a recession, very close to a depression. How many people have lost their homes? How many people are starting from scratch? How many people were kicked out of their houses, went into foreclosure? How many people went through their savings and felt desolate? And yet, many of them are on their way back up and rebuilding. Would love to have you join me. John, good to see you. Welcome aboard.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Excellent. Excellent.
Good.
All for reading. All for reading.
It is, isn't it? What are your thoughts? Do you have any right now?
Well, I think that I partially agree with your statement about our economy. I don't think we're quite out of the woods yet. I think there's a lot of statistics and things along that line that show that we're really not in much of a recovery. It's really a lot worse. I think we're seeing that around the world. You look at what's happening in Greece, and you look at what's happening now in Spain with the same type of thing. I think that we have a lot more buffers here. I think we have a lot more lies here, possibly. It's my personal opinion. I think we can play with the statistics and play with the numbers and play with the money a little bit more than other nations can. So I not to say that it's not a great world out there, because it is. And I think that world is definitely, people are still making money. And I think that's what this speaks to, is to say, if you even look at our what we call the Great Depression here in the United States, people became very, very wealthy during that time frame. because they positioned themselves right. They understood how money worked. They understood how the market worked. And many of them, the boom that came after came because those people had the capital, they had the position, they had the finances to be able to buy up those stocks that had crashed and that were down at pennies on the dollar. And, and they were able to make that comeback. Good morning, Edward. So
Good morning, Edwin.
I think that's an important thing to recognize. There's still people making, billions and billions of dollars today. And it's because of their mindset. And that's what I believe this entire book speaks to is having the right mindset to position yourself properly no matter what's happening.
So the portion that I read had to do with, it's not about giving people hope. It's not about giving people, a rope with a knot at the end to hang on, right? It's not about rescuing people. It is about the mindset, but it went deeper than just the mindset. Because what really struck me, I'm going to hear myself. Sorry, Edwin, I'm going to mute you. What really struck me was the emphatic statement, you got to burn the boats. There's no going back. So not only is it just a desire that we are going to be making a lot of money. I can't help. Sorry about the echo. I can't hear it, so I'm assuming that all is well. Sorry, Edwin, maybe if you turn down the volume a little bit because it's coming from your area, the echo is.
Is that better? Good morning.
What was that?
Is that better?
No, you're still here. We're all still hearing me. Okay, Edwin will be back. We know Edwin will be back. So thanks, Mike. Yes, it was from Edwin. All right. So anyway, we'll find out as soon as he gets on here if we've taken care of the mic issue. And it seems that we have. Welcome back, Edwin. All right. So
welcome. Good morning.
I believe that this was a powerful reading. I'm in full agreement with John. My honest opinion is that we're on the cusp of a depression. That's my honest opinion. And I'm not a financial person. I'm only watching what's happening in various areas throughout our own country and throughout other countries. Having said that, though, I can't do anything about that, which is one of the reasons that I so enjoy having this morning with you, is because I can't do a darn thing about that. And what this reading was about was what I can do, what I can control, what I can have within my grasp, which is I have a desire to make a lot of money. There's a lot of reasons I want to make a lot of money, but my desire is to make a lot of money. Having now been a business owner for almost 8 years, I know that this is the route to do it. But I have to have a desire combined with the determination, combined with the obsession. And I think those who've been with me from the beginning know that kind of bothers me. I'm a little nervous about the obsession part because then my nature is to exclude everything except the obsession. It hurts others when I get obsessed about things. So I'm struggling with that personally. But I have the desire, I have the determination, I have burned the boats. The idea of my working for somebody else at this point, just really is repulsive. The idea of mine not being on target with my actions towards my goal includes working for somebody else. So that's why it's repulsive to me. But this reading literally, burn the boats. What the reading literally says, burned all bridges behind him. And for me, the last couple of jobs that I had in corporate world did not end nicely. So there's no way I'm getting those jobs back. I know that. That's not going to happen. I don't want them. So that part's taken care of. It was midway through the ownership of my own business that I got the realization that this has to be the direction I'm going with my business because there's no going back. I have to keep moving forward. So that's what I'm interpreting from what what I just read. Taking the desire into something definite. It's transcended into something definite, which is growing my business so that I can make a lot of money for various reasons. And the other thing I found interesting was the encouragement he got from the member of Congress. And you know, the idea that if we could get everybody to get it, right, how awesome lives would be, but we can't. So again, I have no control over that. So what can I do? All right, so that's my rambling. Jump in, boys. Feel free. All right, silence is not good. Silence is not good. We're in a conversation.
Silence is golden.
Not on Blab. It's a conversation platform, Edwin. You feel free to contribute.
When you park. No, just kidding.
Yeah. No need to look at it.
Yeah, don't look at us. So I think that you know, I think it's spot on in having that burning desire. You know, when you look at Barnes, you know, as he writes here, Hill shares, you know, he went to Edison without a plan B. You know, there was nothing. It was like, this is it. And I like your analogy of comparing it to the burning of the boats. You know, but if we don't have that single focus, burning desire within us to accomplish whatever it is that we're after, then I believe that life stuff will get in the way very easily. And there has to be a balance, like you said. You know, you don't want to push off your family and push off your other responsibilities and things like that. But it has to be the one consuming focus. All your free time needs to be dedicated to that to find that success. So Will Smith, great actor. I just admire the guy's work ethic and stuff, but he speaks about that a lot. There's a great video on YouTube where he talks about, you know, there's no plan B. There's just everything you've got is plan A. And if you put energy into plan B, then plan A is going to fail automatically. You're setting yourself up for that. So he's you know, there's, I mean, you can point to hundreds of people that have done that. Brought that forth. One of the examples I use in my teachings when I talk to high school kids is about writing your goals down and having this burning desire. Unfortunately, it's somewhat of a sad example, but I look at, you know, you look at Adolf Hitler, same kind of time frame, same principle. He wrote Mein Kampf while he was in prison, came out, and it was published. It was there, and he did it. And people were just, you know, you look back in history, of course, our, you know, hindsight being 2020, we can go, whoa, you know. But it's just such a valid proof of what you can accomplish if you write it down, you put that burning desire out there to the world. People will follow you, and it's not always great things that get accomplished. So you have to be careful on what you choose.
Well, I don't know that we have to be careful on what we choose because the world will respond. But another example would be Martin Luther King. Jr. Am I correct? I mean, he had a burning desire to have the Black population be viewed as equals and to have the same opportunities provided to anybody of color, non-white, that it appeared at the time. I mean, we had laws at the time that whites had. He wanted the same for everybody. And so he was pretty obsessed. And he had a single desire to do that. Yeah, I'm still struggling. But those are personal things that, you know, I'm adjusting to and what have you is the balance of the obsession. And it's better. It's better. But I also agree. I really liked what you said about Will Smith's no plan B. And that really was solidified for me a couple of years ago and put into action last year. That was it. This is the direction we're going. And this is not quite sure how I'm going to get there. That was the interesting part. Before I had to have a plan on how to get there. But one of the things this reading is telling me is that we don't necessarily have to have the plan. We just have to have the end goal in mind and learn as we move forward what we need to do along the way, see the opportunities for what they are, that they match the goal that I'm going towards. Because with Edwin C. Barnes, he took 5 years before he accomplished his goal. You know, it was forefront. He always thought of himself as the success, as attaining the goal. That's what the other key was coming out to me. And one of the changes I had made about maybe a year and a half ago was that I began thinking of myself as the success that I had envisioned, and I talked to myself that way, and I spoke differently, and I presented myself differently. And I think that's part of what is being conveyed in the reading, I think.
And to Charlene, to add to that, you don't have to have a specific plan. You are right about that, but you do have to have a specific time frame, because what happens to a lot of people is like, let's say I want to drive from Florida to North Carolina. It could take me a day, a month to get there. So it is very important to have a time frame of when do you want to accomplish those goals. So like that, it makes you push a little bit harder to reach them by the time frame that you set your goals to. So you not necessarily have to have a map to get there. But if you're able to have some sort of map, it's going to help you get there a lot faster and more, and kind of focus a little bit more into it. And a lot of times in life, you are going to have to, learn by failing and, by figuring things out. But nowadays, we're in an age that everything has been done. That one of the things that I tell everyone, we do not need to reinvent the wheel anymore. The wheel has been invented. We just need to perfect it. So you have to see what has been done and how can you make that better. But the map is already there. The goals, you have to have a time frame to get there at a certain time in your life. And if it takes you a little bit longer than what you projected, what you expected, it's okay. But at least you know when you want to get there. But if you don't have a time frame, it's going to take your whole lifetime to get there. And that used to happen back in the past, that people didn't define a time frame of when they wanted to execute something. Nowadays, we have to do that in order for us to accomplish that a lot faster, because the only one commodity we have that we cannot take back is our time. And the longer we take at getting somewhere or doing something, the less time we have for us to enjoy that.
That is an excellent point. Excellent. Sean's coming out with the acronym for MAP. He, like you guys, loves the acronyms. Massive Action Plan. Yes. Massive action I'll go with. That is what I put into place a year or so ago. Plan, it was rough, but the difference was that I still, and the plan is still being tweaked along the way. The biggest difference for me was the transformation of my mindset, which said that I now have a very clear vision of what it looks like for me and my husband to live in the RV, to travel the country, to talk to the people I want to talk to listen to the stories, record the stories I want to record, to give away the money that I want to give away. I can see it. I talk about it. It's there. But I also see myself as the business owner doing the things that are going to bring the money, which is what's going to have to happen in order for that. That's my ultimate definite purpose. But I have to have, what is Charlene's role in all that? And that's where I came to about a year or so ago, really came to terms with it and said that, if this is going to happen, I'm going to have a time frame. I tried that before. I'm going to put a year on it, but there was no vision of how that was actually going to happen. And then I said, I'll put 2 years on it. This is from 1990. So that tells you how long it took me to get to the point to say, I think I should put a little bit more into this. So that's what happened to me roughly a year and a half ago, which was, I could still see it, but now I'm seeing me as a part of it, actively growing the business. How is that going to happen? What is it going to take to happen? And changing my vision to include me as the business owner doing things, which is what I read in this reading. See, Edwin C. Barnes never said, I'm going to be a clerk for now. I'll just be a clerk. Instead, he said, I am an associate. No matter what job he held with Edison, he was saying, I am a business associate. And that's what struck me as my change had happened when I said, I am a successful business owner, and this is what I am doing to be successful. And this is the proof, the people that I'm working with, the successes they're having. So that's my viewpoint. And I love the way you said it, Edwin. Jump on in.
Thank you. And then, just to add a little bit more, when John said that, whatever you do and whatever you're passionate about, it has to consume all your time. He's very right about that. And I tell a lot of people about this. I tell the people that I do mentor in this, a lot of times, and let me put an example on the network marketing aspect of the side. A lot of people get into the network marketing as a side business. And if you ever do anything half-ass or just, part-time, it's going to take twice as long for you to achieve your results or to see the results. And that's why a lot of people get discouraged, because they're not seeing the results that they want right away. We're all about instant gratification. So if we don't see results fast, we get discouraged from it. The way I live my personal life is whenever I'm going to start a new business or whatever I'm going to become a partner on a new venture, I dedicate my time 100% into that. I put everything else aside, and for that month, that 2 weeks, that 4 weeks, whatever time frame that I need to input to learn the business 100%, to create the system, to take it where I want to take it, my time is 100% consumed into that. I eat, live, and breathe that product or that business that I'm going to do. I do research. I talk to people in the business. I consume myself until I become an expert at it.
Love that.
So yes, you have to put everything else aside. And, sometimes your friends are not going to like you because the only person that truly believes in you is yourself. So if you know you can do it, it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. You have to do what you believe, what you're passionate about, and what is right for you. And then everybody else will come along, or whoever wants to be part of you, they're going to be part of you. And sometimes you're going to have to, family is going to, stay away from you because of those beliefs and those things. And you have to learn, to be okay with that. And I have learned to be okay with that, because that is one of the biggest things that, on my personal side, I'm not very close to a lot of family members of mine because of my success. They either they envy, or they jealous, or maybe they think I'm too materialistic or too workaholic. And that is not the case. That's not the case whatsoever. Mm-hmm. It's just I have goals in life, and I like to have an awesome lifestyle. And what do I need to do to have that? I need to be smart, and I need to dedicate my time into that and my family as well. My daughter, my wife, my kids.
Love that. I don't have that issue. I actually have tremendous support from family members. That's I'm very fortunate in that. My husband is my biggest fan next to my mom. Moms, most of us have one like mine, which is pretty awesome. So no matter what I do, it's good according to them. They want me to succeed. They want to see me have the success monetarily as well as in all areas of life. So my stumbling block is always inside my own head. So I don't have the outside issues. I have, which is why I love what we're doing here, is you're helping me to maintain my mindset, get ready for the day, start the day with purpose, and focused on doing things today that will get me closer to my end goal. And now I have had where, oh, good Lord, you are texting while you're, do not do that, Edwin.
I'm on a red light. Light.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, give me a heart attack. All right. So, again, it's.
At the end of the day, I have to get home to my wife and kids. So trust me, I will not put my life in danger because of that.
Love that. That's right. Yeah. So again, I have lost some friends, and that to me is natural though, because as things in their life changes, I have no interest in common interests and similarities and what have you, which brought us together as friendships anyway. It's very difficult. I can tell you, I don't know if men have this problem, But I'm coming across more and more women, very small business owners just starting out, who have difficulty with female friendships because we don't have time for the kind of things that our women friends want to be involved in and to do. They just don't interest us anymore. So I don't know if it's probably the same with men. You just don't have time. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, ultimately, I have, my primary thing, my priorities are my faith, my family, and then my business. And that's why I have a hard time with the obsession, is because that, to me, and my mind says I have to put my business above my faith and my family. And I can't do that, because the minute I lose my faith, I lose my family and my ability to do my business. So that's how my mind works. So I'm not going to...
And I'm on your same page. I'm just like you, Charlene. God comes first, my wife second, my kids, and my business. So what do you do to balance that out? You need to have a schedule. For example, my wife, it's an early bird. She goes to sleep at 9 o'clock. My kids were put them to bed at 7. So at 9 o'clock, I get out of my bed, like around 9:30 after she goes to sleep, and that's when it's my time. I'm always up from like 10 to 1 in the morning. I never go to sleep before 1 in the morning. So that's my time when I indulge myself into creating my future, looking at what I'm doing next, looking at how my business is rolling, and just looking into new ventures of all the things that we do. We're finishing, all the details so we could finally publish our book that we have coming out soon. All those little details, that's what I work on. Now in the morning, it's family time. I get home, I finish my day at 4 o'clock. So I make sure that I'm home by 5 o'clock, because that's my family time. And then on the weekends, I don't work. And at least one day out of the week, I'm off to spend time with my wife. So I put those priorities. So once you have a schedule and you put your priorities aside, you know that your business is never going to take over your family. Your family is not going to take over your business. And God is always going to be first in everything.
And that's essentially the way I work, except flipped. I get up at 4:30 pretty much every morning. I don't know why, it just happens. And so I begin my day and do the things. And when husband is home, he wanders out sometime. And I get a lot done in the hours. And so, yes, very similar. Very similar. I do schedule. I have my meditation prayer time. I have my work and focus time. And I'm getting a lot done. And it's working. It's working. But I think it's working. I'm going to go back to the reading. For those who first came in, you can see by the title, I read pages 29 to 34 in Think and Grow Rich. There's a PDF available to you with that short linked Google link in there. It's just in Google Drive. You're welcome to it. And the whole point there was desire followed by determination. And the determination was clearly stated as burn the bridges. You're not going to go back. And Edwin had said earlier about, entering any business, regardless of the type or the model, the business model, entering any business half-assed as a hobby, part-time, means you have divided attention. And I learned that when early in my business, I partnered with somebody to do like a division of, but it was a separate business, a separate entity. And we soon learned that that's not going to work. It took a few years, but we came to a point where, we're either going to have to really both go all into the new business to make it work, or stick with our respective businesses, our first ones. And I told her at the time, I said, well, that's my choice. I said, I'm going with the first one. It was fun doing this. See, I learned a lot. Not going to, I can't do it. I have to focus strictly on the first business. And then did it one other time, thinking that it really was an offering of my original business, and brought in a partner because they had more experience. So we did it as, again, a separate entity to protect our individual businesses. Still didn't work, because even though we were funneling people through the second business, it still required so much attention that I couldn't focus on the primary business. So within a very short time, I realized it and we shut it down. And it was just before, I was about, just before 2013. So I've tried that, and that it really is, before I had that real vision of what Charlene looks like as the business owner doing the ultimate goal. Before I had that is why I allowed the distraction to come in of secondary businesses. So I think I've come a long way in that mindset change that says that I'm now seeing myself in the business I'm in doing what I ultimately want to do.
But along with that, Charlene, I know one of the reasons that a lot of those when people get into multiple businesses, it doesn't work out, is because before you do any of that, you have to make sure that your primary business and every business thereafter is systemized. And that's one of the things that I do with my business. Before I move on to another venture, to another business, I go in, I create a system. Once that system is created and that business is running by itself, I'm not a business owner per se. I'm an investor. That's what I become. I become an investor in my business because I set it up to a way where I don't have to be there. So if I want to leave today and I don't have to work, my business is still running and still making me money. And that's what I do with every business I set out to have.
Okay.
I create a system. So once you learn how to create system and systemize any business you're in, then you're never going to have that problem that when you jump into a new venture, you're going to have to, that is not going to work because you're only dedicating part-time to it. You could dedicate 100% of your time to that business until you do the same thing over and over again. Systemize it, move on to the next one.
Well, what I'm hearing you say is that regardless of the business model, if I had had the original business up and running and successful on its own before attempting something else, it would have been a different story. Because I didn't have the original one set up so that it could stand on its own without my constant attention. And that's where I messed up. And that's, learning experience. So the divided attention again. So what I do today is pretty focused. I'm getting more focused. I've got help from a successful business person who is going to be giving me guidance on a regular basis to make sure I stay on track. Because I do that for other people, and how the coach needs a coach. I don't know if you guys know. Yeah, I think you guys know that. We all need somebody, right? So I just invite John to jump in on what we've been discussing, which, by the way, I'm with Sean. I like the Batman.
Oh yeah, this is I
have the father shirt today.
There you go.
Father.
Awesome.
Haha, love it. Good job, Edwin.
This is my alter ego, the Green Batman. So,
the Green Batman.
Green Batman. I found these shirts. We put our logo for a gym that I used to train at on the back. So it's just a little thing. I wear it when I work out in the morning to make me feel stronger.
Yeah.
So one of the things I think that what you read this morning really speaks to, of course, the chapter is called Desire. Chapter 2 is Desire and having that single focus. And I shared with you yesterday my acronym and how I teach vision.
Dreams.
Dreams,
right?
Very good. Yes. One of the things I do is I use a lot of quotes and a lot of scripture to convey the lessons. I use Proverbs 29:18, where there's no vision, the people perish. So when you create that, or if you don't have that vision created, if you don't have that desire, that burning desire, as Barnes had, then you're not going to be successful. You're going to constantly just be spinning your wheels, going in different directions, because you'll get distracted by, oh, shiny, oh, squirrel, oh, this, and things will take you in different directions. So I think even in the book, he says, when he's conveying that comparison, it's like, well, now we have no choice. We win, we die. We win or we perish. So, and I think the biggest thing when you're writing out your desires, there's a huge difference. And this is what Tony Robbins says, there's a difference between knowing and understanding. Understanding and $3.95 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Knowing will get you the Starbucks.
Yep.
So
Love
you
that.
can own that business if you know. And I think that that's something that people don't focus on enough, is understanding, like, Barnes went to Edison knowing, like, this is my, you just feel it. I get, every time I talk about this, I get all goosebumpy. I'm like, oh, because that's my desire. It's like, that's my passion, is to convey these lessons to people, to remind them of their greatness. It's like, how great are you? You got to look at the times we live in. You got to look at the place we're at in the universe, the place we're at in our solar system. You're here for a purpose. You find that purpose, find that burning desire, find that dream, and live that dream, because nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Yesterday, I did a quick little Periscope where I used what's it called? Pine cone. And I looked at, and I talked about the seed of greatness within us, and having that desire of knowing what your seeds are. People may look at you and go, she's been doing that for years. She's never going to be successful at it. They see just the seeds. They don't see that with time and nurturing of that seed, it becomes that mighty oak. It becomes that tree that gives us the shade, that might give us the paper, that might give us those things. But at the end of your day, you're laying on your deathbed. I want to say on my deathbed, my quote to my kids, to my family, is going to be like, I'm a pine cone. My seeds are exhausted. I've put everything out there, and that's it. So I'm good. I'm happy to go. I've lived my purpose. So that's something that I gather from this chapter. Is phenomenal, in focusing in on that desire. It's there. It can happen. You just have to remind yourself every single day how great you really are. You're not junk. You're made for a passion. You're made for a purpose. And every single one of us, I've yet to meet a person that I've talked to about this and they go, yeah, I don't know. They may tell me 10,000 things they don't want, but in there's that one seed. There's that one thing that they go, wow, if I could just do this, that would be amazing. And you go, there it is. That's it right there. Let's nurture that. Let's figure out the pathway and focus on that. Forget everything else. Let it fade away. And let's use that burning desire to move forward and accomplish that passion.
That's fabulous, John. That's fabulous. I love what you said earlier about Tony Robbins and the difference between knowing and
understanding.
Understanding. Hence the name of my business for individuals, which is Grow Because You Know. Excellent. And it's because knowledge is power. Wisdom is understanding, and then action is profitable. That's the idea. Is you have to know first, and you have to go a little deeper into the action to get the wisdom from understanding, because you've practiced it, right? And then that's the reasoning behind the verbiage there. And the action is what will bring profits in all areas of life. So, love what you said, that we find that little kernel and or the seed, and we make it okay for us to pursue it. And to do that, to remove all the negative connotations of pursuing what that little seed inside is. And when the negative connotations that I heard you say were I can't, no one will let me, no one will understand, I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't believe it's possible, and all of those. And instead say, this is what's inside. Therefore, I'm going to water it, and I'm going to feed it, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to grow it. Did I hear correctly?
Yes. No, that's exactly right. Yeah, you just...
Terrific. Good stuff.
Yep, you have to nourish that seed. So I'd like to offer up a challenge for everybody today, is to do the dreams, to do at least the first part of my acronym, the dreams, and say, decide what you want, write it down, record it, write it down.
Something I read every day. Got it.
Good. Awesome. What's your expectancy for it? And that's what Edwin was speaking to, I think, is putting a timeline to that. When do you expect to accomplish that? Make sure it's reasonable. Make sure it's responsible. So like I use an example of if I want to be an astronaut, I'm not going to be an astronaut next week. I could be an astronaut 4 to 6 years from now. if I really apply myself to the schooling, I really apply myself to understanding the sciences, and I get into the NASA programs, or I go work for Virgin or whoever that's going into space these days. So you look at those things, and then what are the actions that you have to do to accomplish that timeline? So what one of the things is called chunk it out. It's one of the success principles is chunk it out. So write down that expectancy and then the action steps it takes to get there. So I use the example of, if you're going to get a 4-year degree, you're going to get a bachelor's degree, you know what you have to do. You pick the school, you apply to the school, you go to the classes, you do your generals, you do your specifics, you go through, you take your courses, you can chunk it right down to semester. You know, this is what I'm going to take during this semester, and you plan that out. And I teach people to live their lives in 90 days. You know, do 90 days. It's seasons. Live your lives in seasons.
All right. Now, wait a second. You're getting that challenge way out there, because guess what? I'm going to ask them tomorrow morning, what part did you do?
Yeah, they can do
tomorrow
it.
Morning.
What do you want? I guarantee you,
today,
everybody on here knows what they want.
So write down what you want.
Write down what you want.
What's the inside that's been hiding there? If you haven't already done it, what's the inside desire that's been in hiding? That's time to shine the light on and let it start to grow, right?
Yeah.
So what is it you really want? Go ahead and write it down. When do you want it to happen?
Yep.
Put a reasonable expectation on the length of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then list out, what is it going to take for me to do that? The realistic, what is it going to take? Is it going to mean additional education? Do I have to learn new skills? Do I have to meet up with people that can teach me how to do things like the mindset thing? Maybe I need to bring a business coach in. Maybe I need to go to the gym. Whatever it is, what is the physical, factual, let's take emotion out of it, the factual things that have to happen. And then what?
I only disagree on your last statement. Don't take the emotion out of it.
Okay.
The only emotion I say don't let in is the emotion of I can't do it. There's no resources. There's no, that sad, the negative emotions, take those out. Let's focus on the positive emotions. We're focusing on what comes next is the motivation. What is it? That's where the big emotion are like.
So that's the part that's going to give me the motivation is that positivity.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Really can happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then write down your top 3 strengths. What are the top 2 things that come naturally to you? And that's the S in dreams. What are those natural steps that come to you when you think about this desire? And the only step I want to go back to is the timeline. Once you have that written out, actually, you know what? We'll save that for tomorrow. We're going to save that for tomorroh. So I want everybody just to write it out.
Now, wait a second. We know what's coming up in the reading for tomorrow. We know. So I think that if I'm all for the challenge John just threw out to every one of us, that those who haven't done that to do it, because tomorrow's reading is really going to go into how to make your desire into determination. He starts to outline the steps that are closely associated to what John just outlined. So you'll be prepared, right? You'll be prepared to jump on and share the experience with us. Yeah, Edwin, you got something?
Yes, John, can you please?
Yeah, I'm going to type it in the comments right this second. I'm typing it right now. But the M is motivation.
Thank you.
M is motivation.
Okay.
S is strengths. Write down 3 of them.
3 strengths.
I'm sorry?
3 strengths that come naturally to you. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have some time left. Amazingly enough, I think this has been outstanding. I am so prepped for the day, I got to tell you. But we have time left, and I've got an open seat. If anybody wants to jump in and comment about what John shared about the challenge he just threw out to us, about the reading, about turning that desire into determination, about the visualization of this is who I am, which is the end goal, not who I am right now, which keeps me where I am. Yeah, Sean, I agree. Missed having you on here, buddy. Tomorrow morning, we'll see how you did on the challenge. So nobody wants the empty seat. That's cool. That's cool. I have been once again blessed to have some terrific sharing happening over that reading, and I thank you for that. I'm going to shut down the recording, and then we can have a little bit of open chat, and feel free for public viewing, if you will, non-public viewing, however you want to look at it. So I'm going to sign off my normal way, which says let's get started on the day on purpose with purpose to grow our hearts, grow our minds, grow our businesses. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you again